Fixed value limits of the conventional static fault detection show limited capability in finding faults from trace data trends, which are organic and irregular in nature. Sometimes it detects a fault where it didn't happen. Other times it fails to find one. The steps without limits become the blind spot to the person in charge. Entirely relying on the user input, the static fault detection method cannot flexibly counteract to incessant transmutation of data trends. DFD discarded the fixed limits and adopted the smart, flexible, and automatic detection method. DFD, or Dynamic Fault Detection, analyzes the trace data pattern of the wafers from one or more lots within a module with 23 algorithms and score every wafer pattern. If one of the scores exceeds the limit, DFD detects a fault. The chart highlights the recipe step where a fault occurred. For deeper analysis and insight into the fault, DFD provides trace data chart by the parameter and the wafer. Before using DFD, it is best you to create a user account, categorize parameters, select the range of reference wafers, set the rule for scoring wafers, and set the rule for alarms. If you don't have your own account, log in with the administrator's account. On the top right, click the cogwheel to open Application Configuration. In the User List Manager, you can create and modify your user account. With your account, you can create and use your own dashboard and get notifications from DFD. On the top right, click Create. In Create User, enter Login ID, name, group, and your email. Please make sure your email is correct because you will have to select it as a recipient of alarm notifications later. Your default password is given, which is 1. Click Apply. Close Application Configuration window. You will be able to change your password in User Information Manager, but you have to log in with your account first. Log out. I will log in with my new login ID. On the top right, click the human icon to open user information. Go to user password and enter 1 in the current password, and enter your new password. Enter again. Click Confirm. Log out. Use your new password to log in. Click the cogwheel again to open Application Configuration. Go to Parameter Categorization. In Parameter Categorization Manager, you can find the parameters of your equipment and then categorize them. You can create a set of rules and apply it to a parameter category. You can also show or hide a parameter category in the dashboard. To create a category, click Create on the top right and enter the category name. I will enter Dry S, which is the combination of the parameters equipment type and priority. Press Enter. I will create Dry A, and Dry B. Let's assign the parameters to the categories we created. Click the filter icon next to equipment and enter the keyword in search field. Clear Select All and tick Dry 01. Click Apply. Tick the box in the top left of the table to tick all the chambers or modules. Click the list icon on the top right to open the parameter list of the selected chambers. Arrange the parameter names, and I will assign the parameters from 1 to 10 to Dry S, from 11 to 100 to Dry A, from 101 to Category Dry B. Click Apply. In DFD configuration, you can select the range of the reference wafers for analysis. Select your modules. Click the filter icon next to EQP and enter Dry in the search field. Clear Select All and check Dry 01. Click Apply. Tick the checkbox on the top left to select all the modules. Click Configure Alarming Methods. You can select the range of reference wafers for analysis. Using the wafers within a lot as references, and using the last user-defined number of reference wafers regardless of lots. You can select both reference ranges, but their data will be presented in distinctive charts and tables. I will use the number multiplied by 25 and compare to last n, which is the number of wafers that a lot contains. You can set the period limit for retrieving data at maximum time difference. By imposing limit to period, you can prevent DFD from performance decrease. Please note that if an analysis cannot cover enough reference wafers because of the period limit, the reliability of its results can be affected. The results with not enough reference wafers will be colored differently in charts. Tick Same Product to use only the wafers of the same product for analysis. Tick Same Recipe to use only the trace data from the same recipe. Tick Same Operation to use only the trace data from the same operation ID, but I will leave it unticked. If you tick Same Major PM Cycle, you are using only the wafers processed after a major PM event for analysis, if there is one. In Exclude Process Run with Alarm, the alarms indicates FDC alarms. If you tick this option, the wafers with FDC alarm will be excluded from reference wafer group. The algorithm score is from 0 to 1. If one of the algorithm scores exceeds control limit, the wafer step will be shaded in yellow. If the score exceeds spec limit, it is a fault. For each user's requirements, it can be adjusted through the course of time. Click Apply. In scoring rules, you can create a set of rules for scoring wafers. The set of rules can be applied at the product, recipe, recipe step, lot, substrate, or parameter level. In search condition, you can select the equipment or modules to assign the set of rules to. Select site, fab, line, and area. Select your equipment and your modules. Click Search. You can see the list of rule sets applied to each module group. To create a new rule set, click New. In Assign Modules, you can see the modules you just selected, and context and parameter list. You can select your context and parameter list. I will apply the rule set to parameter from 1 to 10. Click Apply. Let's create a set of rules in scoring options. In minimum percent of reference for dominant group, you can define how big portion of wafers will be included in the dominant group. After purging outliers and other noise data, DFD divides the wafers into two groups, the dominant and non-dominant. For analysis, DFD only uses the wafers from the dominant group. If you enter 70, the dominant group will cover the 70% of all the wafers. I recommend you not to enter below 51%. In data trimming per recipe step by, you can set the unit and amount of start and end settling data to be trimmed. Once you select the unit, more options are expanded. DFD will trim the data by the leftmost amount and unit. For example, if you select time, DFD will trim the data from the first and last seconds, but the trimmed data will not exceed 5 data points and not exceed the first and last 10% of the data. The unit for lower score for process runs affected by sequence alarm occurrence frequency to be considered systematic is %. Say you enter 50%. This option regards the wafers of the same process sequence per lot. And if you enter 100, in compared to last and process run option, you are using 4 lots of wafers, which means you have 4 wafers for each sequence within a lot. 50% means 2 wafers of the same sequence. If you entered 50% here and if DFD detected faults in 2 or more wafers of the same sequence, all the faults become non-alarm. Only one faulty wafer of the same sequence, or less than 50%, becomes an alarm. Too many faults in the wafers of the same process sequence, most likely the first wafers, tend to be caused by the systematic issues, not by the problems of the wafers themselves. This option can prevent false alarms. Take the number you set in compared to last n into account when you enter the option. For example, if you entered 75 in compared to last n, you have 3 wafers of the same sequence. So you can enter 0%, 66%, or 100%. 0% alarms in 1, 2, 3 wafers of the same sequence, meaning non-alarm in any case. 66% prevents alarms in 2 or 3 wafers of the same sequence. Only one faulty wafer can trigger the alarm. 100% prevents an alarm in 3 wafers of the same sequence. 1 or 2 faulty wafers can trigger the alarm. I will set it 50%. Click Apply. You can see the new set of wafer scoring rules. Click Modify to change the set of rules. DFD discerns the alarm from the fault. By preventing every fault from disturbing you, DFD can help you not to waste your attention and time on meaningless signals, but to concentrate on real problems. DFD categorizes faults into the alarm group and non-alarming group. The faults from the non-alarm group will make their presence in your dashboard. In OCamp Manager, you can configure the rule that decides which faults fall into either alarm or non-alarm group, and then apply the rule to certain products, recipes, recipe steps, lots, substrates, or parameters. In search condition, select your site, fab, line, and area. Select your equipment and modules. Click Search. To create a set, click New. In Assign Modules, you can see the modules you selected. There is Context and Parameter list. Here you can select the target context items or parameters and set the OCAPs in options. Let's select from parameter 1 to parameter 10. Click Apply. Let's set the OCAP in Options. After faulty wafer, DFD will ignore all the faulty wafers for the minutes set in, ignore alarms with idle time greater than minutes, which means the faults will be categorized into the non-alarm group. I will enter 15 minutes. Under Differences to Notify On, the option Any will make DFD categorize a wafer as fault if there was a fault detected in any algorithm. With gross ticked, if DFD detected a fault in L1 norm algorithm in a wafer, the wafer is faulty. With drift ticked, a fault in drift algorithm makes the wafer faulty. With length ticked, a fault in count algorithm makes a faulty wafer. The three options of gross, drift, and length are inclusive, so if you check all of them, you will get a faulty wafer when DFD detects a fault in any of the algorithms. If you want to turn off the alarm for certain context items or parameters, select them in Context and Parameter list and clear all the checkboxes. I will tick Any. In Alarm Type Relationship for Notification, you can set the condition when DFD should trigger the alarm. The condition is between AND and OR. In the option Last 10 or Within lot alarms, if a fault in a wafer is detected by either last 10 or within a lot, DFD triggers an alarm. In the option Last N and Within lot alarms, the fault in a wafer should be detected by both the reference ranging methods for DFD to trigger the alarm. If the series of wafers fit one of the selected SPC rules, which are in the box, an alarm will be triggered. If you select 3 out of 5, for example, out of 5 zero wafers, 3 faulty wafers make an alarm. But 1 or 2 faulty wafers won't make an alarm. If you don't see what you want in the drop-down list, you can create it in SPC Rule Manual. In Notification, you can select the recipient of the alarm notification for the context items or parameters selected above. This option is not available at the moment, but it is for the alarm notification to MES. With Suppress Consecutive Notification ticked, the fault in the wafer right after the fault in the previous wafer will be recognized as a non-alarm. Click Apply. You can see the new OCAP set. To modify it, click Modify. After configuring all the DFD settings, you can close Application Configuration window. Now DFD widgets are ready to use. Thank you for watching.